Mayor Skidmore,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
Commissioner Clayton,
Present.
and Commissioner Crowley.
Present.
Great, we're all here. It's great to see everybody again. We have a quorum and a full house here in the panel. Why don't we start with a welcome to all the people that are there joining us, as well as those listening on social media. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by invocation by my pastor, Ottawa Bible Church, Dakota Smith. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Hey, thank you for having me back today. Just a couple of things. You know, not a lot of communities continue to support churches and pastors and prayer at their meetings. Ottawa Bible has grown from about 70 people in 2020 to maybe 400 in just the last couple of years. And I think that's in part because we live in a community that values families. So I just want to encourage you to keep doing that. When you support churches and there's healthy churches, then there's healthy communities. And so thank you for valuing our freedoms and just the opportunity to be here. Also, on Easter Sunday, we're going to have a service at the OMA at 10 o'clock. I'm going to be walking through the historical evidences for the resurrection. The Christian faith stands and falls on that one subject. So if you'll allow me, I'll pray, and then y'all can begin your meeting. Father, thank you so much for today, for our city leaders, for your love for them. And God, I pray that integrity, truth, hard work ethic, the valuing of people in this community would continue to lead them in the decisions that they make. And so thank you for this moment. Thank you for another day of life, for the sunshine, the weather, for our families. Thank you for Ottawa, Franklin County. God, help us to not take one day for granted. Thank you for your immense love for us. Pray that in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mike.
We will start with public comments. Any public comments today, Melissa?
We have none registered.
None registered. Okay. We'll go on to item 7.
Appointments, proclamations, recognitions, nominations, and public hearings, and we have none.
Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda, to be the minutes from the February 21 meeting, as well as the financial reports for January 2024 to receive and file. Later on, we'll see on the agenda. Do we have approval for this agenda? A motion, I'm sorry.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Is there a second? There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. We're good. Let's go on to the declaration. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Hearing none, we'll go on to item 10, unfinished business. Any of the commissioners want to bring up any unfinished business at this time? All right. Hearing none on that, I guess we'll go on to item number 11.
Item A, review of monthly reports for January 2024.
So we got 4 of them there to look at. So we'll start with Franklin County Development Council, Executive Director Paul Bean. I assume you're there somewhere.
I am here. Hello.
And hello.
Hello, commissioners. Couple of things I want to share with you. Reminder, tomorrow, under the Franklin County E-Community, which is under FCDC, we'll have our Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge. That'll be at Ottawa University. There'll be kids there from 9 till about 11:30. We have 5 different businesses that will be presented by students. This is a chance for students. Basically, the program's set up for 6th through 12th graders, but we actually have a 5th grader participating, which I'm excited about. But they submit an executive summary, which they've already done, and those have been judged. And then they'll do a formal presentation to a panel of judges, and then we'll have a trade show. And really encourage you all and anybody in the public that can get away from 10 to 11 especially, but any time from 9 to 11. Come out and see the trade show, and it's a way to encourage these kids and support what they're doing. They put a lot of effort into this. And the public will get a coin and they can vote for their favorite trade show, and the one that wins the public vote will win an extra $100. And then they'll go through all the judging, and then around 11:30 we'll announce the winners. The winner will go to the state competition, which will be at Kansas State University this spring. And there's over $70,000 in prizes available at that. Our first place winner will get $1,000, second place $750, and third place $500. That's funded through our relationship with Network Kansas. Great supporter of what we're trying to do with our youth. So just want to remind you that's tomorrow at Otto University, and would love as many people from the public to come and support these kids as possible. Also want to lift up to you March 17th is National Ag Week, and I've been working with a number of partners where we're going to spend the month of March actually promoting our ag history and culture and economic impact. We've got 13 sponsors behind this effort. We'll have spots on KOFO. We'll do some stuff in the Ottawa Herald and some of the other regional papers, and then you'll see a lot of social media posting. And then we're kicking off kind of following the great example of our Veterans Committee here in town. We won't have quite so many banners the first time out, but we'll have 10 banners here in Ottawa, 10 in Paola, and 10 in Garnett that are banners, and I appreciate the city working with us to put those up. And that'll be just promoting ag and reminding our community the importance of ag to our community. Like I said, it's our history. It's certainly a strong influence on our culture, and absolutely critical to our economic health as a county and a community. So just want you to know you'll be hearing a lot more about that through the various media that I just mentioned, but that'll be a big push for us in March. You've seen my reports, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about FCDC.
Anybody have any questions of Paul?
Paul, on that,
A lot of good numbers there. I looked at them earlier today, so I think we're looking pretty good there, Paul.
Thanks.
I saw somewhere in there something about, we had a contact, but they were required or looking for an existing building, I guess a spec building of some kind. Are we seeing more of that in our competition around the state?
Yeah, we've had two just this month, RFPs that came in and required an existing building. And we are seeing a little bit more of that. We're seeing very short timelines from inquiry to wanting to be up and running, and so that's why they're looking at buildings first. Some of them will come in and say it's preferred, but they'll still look at green space. But two of them we got this month, it was an absolute. They wanted a building, or we were disqualified, unfortunately. But yeah, the timelines are really getting short.
Was there a discussion on size of that building? Did they give you any indication of size?
Yeah, I don't remember the exacts on that, Commissioner, but they're pretty significant sized buildings. You're 50,000 square feet, those types of things, so not small.
have those been pretty consistent across multiple requests for a similar building size?
Yeah, it's, and I'll, that's a great question. I wish I had a hardcore answer for you, but I'll get that to you as far as what kind of the size range is. But it has been pretty consistent to your question. Yeah, it's not, one way up here and another one way down here. It's pretty Mendoza line kind of thing. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have the specifics.
I've driven a little bit around Johnson County, like that, and I'm seeing some empty buildings and huge warehouses look like that are available. And so I'm thinking, well, if that's the competition, where it may have a little bit of tough go going forward, but I understand where your concern is.
Yeah, it's a challenge, obviously that's a huge investment just to put a building up. And I've had conversations with developers, about putting a spec. Would they be interested in coming and visiting with the city and the county about doing that? But there's quite a bit of hesitation right now with interest rates and election year, a lot of uncertainty in an election year. So you've got some of that risk potential's probably not as high as maybe it was a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's a tough market right now, and I'm not seeing as much activity
On that, on the CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant.
Yep.
Could you kind of just throw out what are some things that money could kind of go towards? What is that geared towards in the community?
Yeah, the CDBG, and I don't know if you guys have seen what I sent in to the staff, but I did go to a conference in Chanute, and they have the rollover grants, and then they have the annual grants. And I'm pleased that the CDBG is pretty broad. I mean, there's grant money in there for childcare, there's grant money in there for infrastructure. I mean, really, anything you can think of, there's a pretty good opportunity for CDBG. And if it's not CDBG, we still have the infrastructure bill that Congress passed, that there's still a lot of money flowing through on that. Now, those are federal, but again, we have a contact, thanks to the state of Kansas, with Whit O'Brien. And I was just talking to our contact yesterday, going over some ideas, but there's a lot of federal money for just about anything you can think of. And it doesn't have to be the construction part. If you're looking at planning, there's technical assistance money. So, you know, if there's infrastructure you want to work on or whatever it is, and you need to do some engineering or architectural work, you can bring those folks in and kind of get a ballpark. Because you got to get an idea of what you want to do and how much it's going to cost, and then you can proceed with the grant request. But the grant will pay for that preliminary work, and then you can go back and get a grant to actually move dirt and lay pipe or line or build buildings or whatever you want to do. So, and you know, I know the swimming pool's on your radar, and so I did ask her if there's money in that current program for pools, and she just started laughing. She said, "You're the third person to ask me about pools this week." So she said that she wasn't aware of any, but she was going to go back and see what she could find for public utility or public facilities like that. So we're kind of kicking tires to see if we can't find some resources for you as you consider in the future something about the public pool.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Anybody else have any more questions for Paul? Good report. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Some loop, Ottawa Library, and I don't know if Director Chartier is online or we have someone else to speak to that. I guess not. We'll hold on the questions maybe for next time for Terry. I know she's had some recent surgery. How about Ottawa Main Street, Director Stauffer?
Hello, how are you?
There she is.
Guys. I'm here, sorry. We have been going through a lot. We are in the middle of our website rebuild. We're in the middle of redoing bylaws. We're in the middle of redoing a lot. I also, this last week, was in Topeka getting all kinds of education. There's so many different acronyms and stuff about different grants that could be coming down the pipeline for specifically main streets, some for lower level, some for upper level living. Sorry, that's a mouthful. We also are working towards a big fundraiser, and it will be held on May 4th, so mark your calendars. It'll be a Piccadilly auction, Kentucky Derby style. So that's all I have.
Good. Anybody have any questions of Sarah then? Sarah, I think it's important that you brought up about upper level living down Main Street. I'm not sure what % of our Main Street businesses have potential apartment construction or apartment facilities. Do we have any idea how many are possibly available or any kind of numbers like that?
That's something that we're currently trying to collect and get information on ourselves. There's some that they just might be available to do living in, but haven't had anything done with them in years, which then would also qualify them for other grant opportunities. It's just a matter of getting the education out there and letting the business owners or property owner know what is available.
And I know we have a lot of absentee landlords or owners of those properties, and it's hard to reach them all, but I think it's a great place to look for some direction and for some guidance on that. So I appreciate you looking into that. That's good. Anybody have any more questions of Sarah? If not, we're moving right along. We'll go on to Prairie Paws. I don't know if Director Cowie's online. Calling on Director Cowie.
I believe she's in Australia.
Yeah, that's probably a long ways away. Okay, we'll
So
leave
I'm
it.
guessing,
me?
I don't know what time it is in Australia, but I'm,
Yeah, that's right. That Zoom call might cost a little bit more too.
That's
All right. Well, let's go back to, if we could, to financial reports on B. There on, let me look for that. What was that? Yeah, 8B. Just see if we have any questions on the financial reports there for Melanie. Anybody have anything there they want to talk about, start with? I'm sure she's dying for some questions. What, I can start it off if you want to. I noticed that sales taxes are up in all four categories. It's always encouraging still to see that. So I appreciate that, the fact that we're still increasing that and revenues have not been flattened or going declining. So I'm glad to see we're still up in that area. Melanie, on 2023, I just saw that our interest income was that just the idle funds of 760,861? And we have Rebecca there. I see Rebecca.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good,
I'll
go right
answer.
ahead.
Let me get to my investment sheet. You were
All
asking
right.
what the total
Well,
was
the
for 23?
Right, I saw that it was just 760,861. Is that just the idle funds, or does that also include our sweep money interest earnings?
That includes the sweep. So that was all interest income earned across all funds for the whole year.
Okay, the next line down talks about 2024. Is that just a projection at this point?
Yeah, so the top with the realized is what's actually been received in year to date. So we did make that much in January. We had quite a few maturities at the beginning of the year. And then the next line will be sweep and operational as we receipt that in. Just as a reminder, the sweep account is quarterly receipts, so you won't see that for a few months. And then the unrealized are expected maturities that we already are aware that will happen this year. So that is the estimated amount for 23 or 24. That's what that line should definitely say, not 23. I'm sorry.
Well, it should say 23.
It should say
Right.
24 at the end of my little sum there.
Oh,
Sorry.
very good.
It's a typo
Gotcha.
on my part.
That's all right, not a problem. And then on the cedars, those are all varied maturities. Is that correct? We're kind of going 6 months up to 2 years on those.
Currently, yes. They're either 6 months, 12 months, or 2 years. Well, we don't have any 2 years. We had an 18-month previously, yes.
All right, that's great. Good to see those all scattered out to be able to maximize our return on those. Good. Anyone else have any other questions of Rebecca at this time? I guess not. Okay, thanks Rebecca. Thanks Melanie for your numbers. We're moving right along, I guess. We'll go right to the comments of the city manager then.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Commission. I've a report that summarizes highlights of activities for the past week since our last meeting. Highlights include graduation and field training commencement for officers Christian Aiden, Caleb Savage, who graduated last week from the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center, alongside with the promotion of Master Patrol Officer Mike Dunlap to Police Sergeant. They've also completed security enhancements at City Hall in the Law Enforcement the Law Enforcement Center. The Utilities Department welcomed new staff member Parker Griffin and reported on advancements for water treatment certifications from Haley Boss and Ryan Reynolds. Our electric distribution and generation continued preparations for an award ceremony recognizing the historic significance by the Society of Mechanical Engineers for the city's STAG generator. Public Works emphasized improvements on infrastructure, stormwater management, and enhancement of our public spaces, roadways, and cemetery improvements. Our Human Resource Operations outlined talent acquisition efforts and progress in renewing our insurance coverage to its most maximum efficient use of premium with coverage. And our neighborhood services continued their efforts in nuisance abatement and held meetings aimed at enhancing accessibility and planning within the community with the Accessibility Board, with the commitment to commitment to continuing growth, safety, and enhancing the quality of life for all of our citizens. I'd like to point out that we do have a photo from the KLETC graduation with Captain Hawkins, Lieutenant Luft, Officers Dugan, and Vera Steck, and Savage, Aiden, and Chief Weingartner as well. So a couple other items that I wanted to touch on. We're in the initial planning phases for a city commission retreat. So if you could check your calendars for sometime in late March or early April that definitely don't work for you, we can get a date penciled in. And then also there's been a discussion on a joint meeting with the county commission. And so I'd like to ask kind of your direction and thoughts on that. I know they're working to coordinate some dates. I just let them know that the week of the 13th would be out. So just take a look and let us know, and then I can follow up with my counterpart at the county.
In the past, we've usually had a joint luncheon of some kind, so I assume that could be arranged, whether it be here at City Hall or at their facility. I mean, usually we've had them in our facility and we bought lunch for them. What do the rest of the commissioners think of that?
I mean, I'm good with the lunch. I mean, I'm good with the breakfast too. I mean, we can do whatever. I don't know that it needs to, it seems that when you break bread with others, it seems to work better when that conversation happens, but I'm not beholden to a lunch.
Okay, breakfast works for me too. What, Ash, do you think the same way?
I'm fine either way, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be open to anything at that point.
Okay, why don't we look at our calendars and see if it'd be a good time for us to have breakfast with them and they're at City Hall and invite them in and let's have a good discussion. So I think it's a good plan, Brian. Thank you. Anything else, Brian?
Pass more along. That's all I have if there are no questions for myself or staff.
City Manager Silcott, I know that you had asked for us to look at our calendars for March and April for a retreat. Are you can you give us some kind of time frame that you're looking at?
Just late March,
Okay, but like
4 hours.
4 hours, 8 hours.
4
okay.
hours.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds good. Okay, let's see if we can work something out, make a decision on that maybe the next meeting. So let's take a look at our calendars for that. Brian, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
How about comments from the governing body? Start with Commissioner Crowley.
More of a question than a comment. Maybe Mr. Finch or Mr. Silcott, you could help me with this. I've had a couple questions from a couple of citizens and then also planning commissioners about why we don't have legal representation for them at the, during the meetings. It might help them with some decision-making that they have.
So the statutory role of the Planning Commission is that they make advisory recommendations to this body. They don't have legal authority to approve or disapprove applications. And so traditionally, and in the 10 years that I've been your city attorney, my advice has been I assist the planning director, I assist the planning commission if they have questions that come up. When Ms. Landis was pinch hitting, she knew she could text me even during the meetings, and I would answer questions at night to try to help the planning commission if they ran into trouble. But it's not something that we have traditionally had legal coverage at. In the 10 years that I've been your city attorney, the real decision that gets made is made here with the governing body, and it is you all who act in that quasi judicial function of weighing the evidence that comes in from the applicant or those who might be opposed. And you'll recall, we've had a couple of those situations where we've had a packed house and a hearing here. And if we get an application like that that we know has some issues with it, that there might be a real dispute between neighbors, I've advised and helped the Planning Commission on those. But I've traditionally not gone to every single public hearing that they have because many of them are fairly routine. And they just don't cry out for legal guidance at that time. So that's kind of been our past practice, and that's the reason why we typically have not done that. They're also, I think, have 2 study sessions and a formal meeting every month in addition to what was then 6 meetings for the city commission. And so it was just not something we did unless there was an issue that we knew would require legal advice, because they do have professional staff there in the form of the planning director, whoever that person is guiding them, whether that was Wendy Lee, whether that was Melanie, whether that was Lucas now.
So if Zach is there now, does Zach have kind of the same guidance to possibly reach out to you if necessary during that meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All of our department heads have my cell phone
Perfect.
number and are able to reach me anytime.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Kraft, thanks. Commissioner Clayton?
None at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Kaler?
None at this time.
Okay, Pro Tem Allen?
I have no comment.
Okay, I don't either, so I think that'll take care of it. Comments for the time being. We do have announcements here. March 6th, we'll have our city commission meeting at 7 p.m. there at City Hall. And March 10th to 13th, we'll be in Washington, D.C., and therefore the 13th meeting has been canceled. I believe we have something on item number 15. It would be a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner, go ahead.
I move that the commission recesses into executive session at 4:30 for a period of 20 minutes with the city attorney and city manager present for the purpose of attorney-client consultation. Do I need to read the rest, or is that good enough? Okay. Oh, I should read. The justification for the closed session is to engage in confidential and privileged communication with the board's attorney by KSA 75-4319B12. The open meeting is to resume in this room at 4:50.
I'll second.
4:50. Thank you. Any other discussion on that? Not all in favor, say aye.
All right.